Alright, today we're looking at our last topic in expressions and operations, and this is the distributive property and combining like terms. And again, this is going to be something that we use all year long, so we're going to make sure we know what we're doing. So first we just have our basic distributive property. We take whatever number or term is being multiplied on the outside and distribute it through to everything that is inside the parentheses. So if we look at our first one, we would have 3 times 2x added to 3 times 8. So we'd end up with 6x plus 24 as our final answer for this one. Over here we have negative 2 times 5x, which is negative 10x. Then negative 2 times positive 6 is negative 12. So we'd end up with negative 10x minus 12. Anytime we have a negative outside the parentheses, we always want to be really careful as we distribute just to make sure it doesn't get lost. So first we have negative, this is a 1 really, even though we don't write it. So negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Then we have our next term, which is negative 1 times negative 4y. So this is going to be plus positive 4y. So anytime you have negatives inside, you want to pay close attention. And then last piece, we have negative 1 times z, so minus z will be our final term there. This also works if we have fractions, okay? So just remember what you learned about fraction multiplication. Be careful as you go through and simplify those terms. It's the same thing as negative 18 over 1. So we would have negative 18 over 3 times x for our first term, plus negative 18 over 1 times 1 over 9, so we have negative 18 over 9 here. Then we would go through and simplify. So negative 18 over 3 is 6, or negative 6, and negative 18 over 9 is negative 2. So we would have negative 6x minus 2. Go ahead and pause the video and try the question on the right. So on the right, that big crazy expression actually works out to something a little nice with integer coefficients. We have 2y minus 3x plus 3m. And feel free to cross-reduce when you're multiplying, especially with these fractions here. Just make sure that you reset for each term. So if you reduce the 4 over 1, and you have the 6 over 8 here, you can reduce there. We have 1, and then 2, then you can reduce here. Just make sure that you don't then forget to reset this when you go to use it with the negative 3/4 m. We can also use the distributive property to help simplify expressions like this. We can rewrite this fractional expression as 1/7 times 14x minus 21. We distribute the 1/7 through, so first we get 2x, and then 1/7 times negative 21 is going to give us negative 3. That's one way of doing it. But we can also use a bit of a shortcut and go right from the expression that we were given. So if we rewrite this, we'll start over 14x minus 21 all over 7. I need to look at all of the numbers in my fraction. So I'm not worried about the variables right now, just the coefficients and the constants. So we have 14, we have 21, and we have 7. If the two numbers in the numerator share a common factor with the number in the denominator, then I can go ahead and simplify. So in this case, all of these are divisible by 7. So I would divide everything by 7, and we have 2x minus 21. This only works if all three of those numbers have something in common. So go ahead and pause the video, try the other two. Okay, if we look at our middle expression, we have 36, 27, and 9. All of those work together. So we end up dividing 36 by 9, we get 4w, and then 27 by 9, we get 3y. If we look at this one, my three numbers are 35, 6, and 2. There's no common factor between all three, so this is already simplified. There's nothing else that we can do here. We also just need to make sure we're good with combining like terms, because we're going to be doing a lot of that this year, especially as we get into more complex expressions. So we need to make sure that like terms, we know what they are. They have the same variables, or just one variable, and the same exponents with those variables. So if I have an x squared in one term, I can only combine it with another term that has x squared. So as we start, if we look, we first have negative 2x cubed. There's nothing else with an x cubed, so this term is going to be by itself. Then we move on to the next term. So we have negative 6x squared. We also have negative 4x squared. We combine the coefficients. We have negative 10x squared. Then we move on to the next term. We have 3y squared. So we take that, and we take the 9y squared, and altogether we have positive 12y squared. Notice that when I box those, I include the sign that's to the left of the number. That's because that is the sign that goes with that coefficient, and we want to make sure that we keep that sign attached to that digit. So this final answer would be negative 2x cubed minus 10x squared plus 12y squared. Go ahead and try this next one on your own. Alright, if we look, we have negative 2ab and positive 6ab. Altogether that gives us 4ab. 4a is the only single a term we have, so even though there's an a in this term, I can't combine it because it doesn't have a and b. And if we put negative 3b and negative 3b together, we get negative 6b. Here's where we're going to put it all together. The key to remember is that we always distribute before we combine like terms. So here I have a negative 3 on the outside that I'm going to distribute through to the terms on the inside. So I'm going to take that negative 3, and we are going to distribute that to the terms that are on the inside of the parentheses. So we're going to go negative 3 times 2w and negative 3 times negative 4. So we have 9w minus 6w. But then when you do the negative times the negative, it becomes positive. So we have 12, and we end up with 3w minus 12. Go ahead and try the other two on your own. For our first expression at the top here, we end up distributing that 8 through, the negative 4 through, and then we combine, and we get 6x minus 4y minus 80. And then down below here, we have to simplify this whole fraction first. So we end up with 2x minus 3 for that piece. And we combine it with the 5x plus 6, we end up with 7x plus 3.